Julie Tobbell, is it, from the Somerfield Residents Association.
Good morning, and thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you all about Somerfield Residents Association and how we see the representation fitting in with our area. I've actually got copies. Is it possible to hand out these copies of a summary of our proposals? So, in summary, we have three proposals that we would like, I don't know if you can hear me, that we would like to put forward. And the first proposal is that Somerfield area is to represent both the proposed area Somerfield and Barrington South units, and if need be to rename them if they need to be within units, as possibly Somerfield East and Somerfield West, as per map 1 that I've got on there. So this maintains the same identity, recognition from our communities of interest, such as our local schools, our churches, preschools and other local community groups and all our local residents. So this, we intend to sort of try to remain identifiable and easily locatable for the emergency services, so that, obviously it can be easily located rather than renaming another area as Barrington South, which we view as either Barrington Street or Barrington Mall sort of thing. So we also wish to reduce the level of confusion for local residents, businesses and other community groups by not introducing a new name or identity for the area. So that's basically the map 1. Basically, proposal 2, we wish for Somerfield boundary to be more clearly identified and easily separated by the Frankley and Milton Street boundary, basically as per map 2, rather than it is proposed in the 16 ward to do it down Rose Street, which would then eliminate some of the area, as you can see in the area, that would make half of it into Spraydon and half of it into Cashmere. By doing the proposed new boundaries as per map 2, it would probably be more likely in the Cashmere area, and that would counterbalance the population numbers, so that would actually increase the population numbers in Cashmere and decrease the population numbers in Spraydon, which, to go with, the policy that you're wanting sort of thing, to keep even numbers, it would actually support that. It would also reduce confusion about where Somerfield area is. As you can see on all these three maps in front of you, it's consistent. It identifies Somerfield in one area. As to whether it needs to be renamed in different areas to make it into units, I can understand that. It also, if you keep it all in the Cashmere area, it will be easier for the likes of Somerfield Residents Association, who I'm the chair of, to basically to represent easier, rather than having to go to 2 different community boards or different representatives, basically. So the aim overall is that we want to reduce confusion for our residents, for our businesses, and our schools. It is also in keeping with Google, it is in keeping with Neighbourly, also the school areas, how the schools identify their areas as well, and also as the bottom map, that's actually the city cycleways, so it's in fitting with that as well, in keeping with that. So yeah, so that's so it hopefully creates easier representation for our residents, and improves communications and that between the SRA and the council staff as well. It makes it more clear-cut. And the proposal 3, the main thing we would like for the new representation review is the community board staff members either remain unchanged or become increased to improve our local community representation in general. Community board members are the ones that we normally would approach first, so that's important to us. I think hopefully that explains everything that we would like. Any questions? Or?
Yeah, I'll start off. You would have heard me sort of comment on the Banks Peninsula issue. So let's pretend that we can resolve that and that the Local Government Commission agrees. That would mean that some more population would go into the Cashmere one at the other end.
Right.
So if we could move the whole block of Somerfield into Spraydon, that would work too. As long as your issue is that the block remains together.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Andrew?
Thank you very much indeed for the submission. It's always good to hear from local people about the way that the boundaries affect local communities, and this has been particularly useful in that regard. You make all of your comments in the context of the 16 ward proposal, which is the one that we obviously went out for consultation for. Other submitters have made comments around the 14 model, the 19 model, other models that we considered. I'm assuming, in as much as you don't comment on that and all of your comments are in the 16 model context, that you're happy with the model of 16 councillors?
I guess we have focused on what is important within our area. We acknowledge that, the council and there need to be changes, obviously, within Christchurch City according to dividing up and making it fairly for management of Christchurch City as a whole. So, as I say, so long as we get adequate community board representation, then it's not such a concern to us, I guess. As long as we get good representation is the main thing. How that's done via the council, I'll leave that to your expertise. The main thing is how we see ourselves as a community and to try and keep that community intact and create less confusion.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'll just
Yep.
Can I
Phil?
clarify just one thing, Julie?
Sure.
You refer to a preference for a clear boundary so that Milton Street would actually extend along Franklin Street. So were you wanting that part within south of Franklin Street to be in the Cashmere ward, or should it stay in the Spraydon ward? I wasn't quite clear about it.
As to what happens on the actual boundary of it, like whether one side is, Spraydon and one side is Cashmere, I guess that's something that has to be negotiated, but it's trying to work out the boundaries of the whole area, basically, but it might need to be one side is Spraydon, one side is Cashmere. That would need to be negotiated, I think, but it's mainly the outside boundaries because the proposed representation review was proposing that it was down Rose Street, which all of Conway Street, Stanbury Ave and all those streets in between would possibly be, I don't know.
So what you're really seeking is a clearer boundary, and it isn't major as to which ward those parts are in. Am I right on that?
Say that again, sorry.
What you're seeking, or would like us to do, is to establish a clear boundary between the wards, and in the parts which are kind of like in between, it isn't major as to whether they're in the Cashmere ward or a future Spraydon ward. But I also am really hearing you say that it's important that the community board be able to represent the Somerfield area.
That's right. So I think there'd be greater representation if we know basically we don't have to go to different councillors or different community board members for different streets. I think that would create more work as well, and for the council. And I can see implications. I also see for future proofing. You know, it might be all one big community board at the moment. The Spraydon, Cashmere, Woolston might be a great big area. Them in the future, maybe there might be provisions to make Spraydon with Hallswell, which of course would separate Somerfield even further. So it's just future-proofing it, really.
Thanks, Julie.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Much appreciated.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you.
Thank you. Susie